The drawer was hidden behind a false panel in his desk, and Simone found it completely by accident while looking for stamps. Inside were 47 photos of a woman in white, love letters tied with a string, and a whole life Simone never knew existed. That night at dinner, she looked across the table at her husband and realized something terrifying. She had never actually been his wife. She had been his ghost. If you have ever felt invisible in your own relationship, you are going to want to hear what happens next. Keep watching to see how this plays out. And if you want more stories like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. The apartment was too quiet. Simone folded the last of her clothes into the suitcase, eyed her hands steady even though her heart was doing something complicated in her chest. 3 years of marriage, and she could pack up her entire existence in 4 boxes and 2 suitcases. That should have told her something right there. She walked through the living room one last time. The space looked the same as when she first moved in. Dae-hyun never let her change anything. The furniture was all sharp edges and cold marble, like someone designed a home but forgot people were supposed to live in it. She used to put her books on the shelves, colorful spines that made the place feel alive. But he always moved them, said they clashed with the aesthetic. Simone pulled an envelope from her purse and placed it on the kitchen counter. Inside were divorce papers and a note she had rewritten 5 times. The final version was simple, on just 1 line. She did not owe him an essay about his failures. He was a smart man. He could figure it out. The door clicked shut behind her, and she did not look back. 8 hours earlier, Dae-hyun had left for a meeting. He kissed her forehead on his way out, the same way he always did, like he was following a script. Simone had smiled, said nothing, and waited for the sound of his car pulling away. Then she made her calls. The movers arrived within an hour, professionals who did not ask questions. They loaded her design equipment, her grandmother's quilt, and the vinyl records Dae-hyun never understood why she kept. One of the movers, a younger guy with kind eyes, paused when he picked up a framed photo. "You want this one, ma'am?" It was their wedding photo. Simone, in a dress she loved, Dae-hyun beside her, looking perfect and distant. She had studied that photo so many times, trying to figure out if he ever really saw her. "Leave it," she said. The mover nodded and set it face down on the console table. When they finished, Simone walked through the apartment alone. This was the part she thought would hurt, but instead she felt light, like she had been holding her breath for 3 years and finally remembered how to exhale. She found the hidden drawer by accident 2 weeks ago. Simone had been looking for stamps, something boring and domestic, when her hand brushed against a false panel in Dae-hyun's desk. It clicked open, and her whole world shifted. Photos, dozens of them. A woman with pale skin and long, black hair, always wearing white. In some pictures she was laughing, in others she looked sad. But in all of them, she looked loved. The way Dae-hyun held her, looked at her, it was so different from how he looked at Simone. There were letters, too, tied with a string. Poetry in Korean that Simone translated on her phone, line by line. Words about eternal love and souls meant to find each other. The last letter was dated 6 months before Simone met Dae-hyun. She put everything back exactly as she found it and walked out of the office. That night at dinner, she watched him across the table and realized she was eating with a stranger. He asked about her day, the same question he always asked, and she gave him the same vague answer she always gave. But now she knew. She was not his wife. She was his memorial. Dae-hyun came home at 9:30, exactly when he said he would. He was always on time, always predictable. He hung his coat in the closet and walked toward the kitchen, probably expecting to find Simone reading on the couch or sketching building designs at the table. The apartment felt wrong immediately. He noticed the silence first, then the empty spaces where her things used to be. Her sneakers were gone from the door. The throw blanket she kept on the couch, the one with bright geometric patterns he always said was too loud, it was gone too. He walked faster now, checking rooms. Her office, empty. The closet, half bare. His breathing changed, got shorter. Then he saw the envelope. Dae-hyun picked it up like it might explode. His name was written on the front in her handwriting, the letters clean and architectural. Inside, the divorce petition was clipped together with legal precision. Behind it, one sheet of paper with a single sentence. You did not want a wife, Dae-hyun. You wanted a taxidermist to recreate your past. Good luck finding another woman who can tolerate your silence as well as I did. He read it 3 times. Then he placed the papers on the counter, walked to the bar cart, and poured whiskey into a glass. His hand was perfectly steady as he raised it to his lips. The glass shattered against the wall. Dae-hyun stood there, amber liquid dripping down the white paint. Crystal scattered across the marble, and for the first time in years, he had no idea what to do. The next morning, he went to work. His second-in-command, Jun Seo, did a double take when Dae-hyun walked into the office. Boss, you look fine. I look fine. What's the update on the shipment? Jun Seo glanced at the others in the room, but clearly confused. Everyone knew the boss's wife had left. In their world, news traveled fast. But if Dae-hyun wanted to pretend everything was normal, they would pretend too. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Dae-hyun ran through logistics, territory agreements, and financial transfers. His mind was sharp, his decisions quick. No one would have guessed that he went home to an empty apartment last night and did not sleep. When the meeting ended and everyone filed out, Jun Seo lingered. You need anything, boss? I need people to do their jobs, Dae-hyun said without looking up from his laptop. Jun Seo left. Alone in his office, Dae-hyun pulled up his contacts and scrolled to Simone's name. His thumb hovered over the call button. What would he even say? Come back? Why did you leave? He knew why she left. That note made it clear enough. He put his phone face down on the desk and got back to work. 3 days passed like this. Dae-hyun operated on autopilot, going through motions he had perfected over the years. Meetings, phone calls, negotiations. At night, he went home, ignored the empty spaces, and worked until exhaustion forced him to sleep. On day 4, he burned his tongue on coffee. It sounds small, stupid even, but Dae-hyun never burned his tongue. Simone always made his coffee in the morning, and she made it perfect. The right temperature, the right strength. He never asked her to do it. She just did. He tried to make it himself and failed. Too hot, too bitter. He poured it down the sink and left for work without it. That night, the security system malfunctioned. The panel by the door kept beeping, saying there was a breach in the perimeter. Dae-hyun checked every camera, every sensor. Nothing was wrong. Then he remembered. 2 months ago, he mentioned to Simone that the south window sensor had a blind spot. He was barely paying attention when he said it, just thinking out loud. The next day, the blind spot was fixed. She never mentioned it, never asked for credit. He stared at the security panel and wondered how many other things she fixed that he never noticed. Day 7 was when everything caught up to him. Dae-hyun was in a meeting with a potential business partner, some tech CEO who wanted protection for his new venture. The man was talking numbers and percentages, but Dae-hyun's mind kept drifting. The CEO was wearing too much cologne. It filled the room, sweet and chemical. Nothing like the cocoa butter Simone used, the scent that used to fill their bedroom. He used to think it was too strong, but now the apartment smelled like nothing. Sterile. Empty. Mr. Kang, does that work for you? Dae-hyun blinked. Everyone at the table was staring at him. Repeat the terms, he said, his voice flat. The CEO's smile tightened. The percentage split, 15 for protection, 85 for... No, 25. That's significantly higher than find someone else. The room went quiet. Junseo looked like he wanted to intervene. The terms Dae-hyun just demanded were almost insulting, way above market rate. The CEO stood up, clearly offended, and walked out with his people trailing behind him. When the room cleared, Junseo turned to his boss. What was that? We needed that deal. We will get other deals. Not if you keep acting like... Junseo stopped himself. But like what? Like, you are not here. Dae-hyun stood up and left the room without answering. He went home early, something he never did. The apartment was dark. He did not turn on the lights, just sat on the couch in the shadows and stared at nothing. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister, Mi-sun. Dinner tomorrow, my place, not a request. He typed back. Busy. Liar, 7 p.m. Be there, or I am coming to your place. Dae-hyun put his phone down and noticed something. The remote was on the left side of the coffee table. Simone always put it on the right because he was right-handed, and it was easier for him to reach. He had been home for 3 days and kept looking for it on the right, getting annoyed when it was not there, because he kept putting it on the left. Without Simone, but he did not even know where he wanted his own remote. The laugh that came out of him was sharp and bitter. You think you know someone until they are gone, right? Wait until you see what he finds next. Mi-sun lived in a neighborhood that was nothing like Dae-hyun's. Her apartment was smaller, warmer, full of plants and pictures, and things that made it look like a human lived there. When she opened the door, she took one look at her brother and sighed. You look terrible. Good evening to you too. She let him in and pointed to the couch. Sit. I made food. I'm not hungry. Sit anyway. Dae-hyun sat. Mi-sun disappeared into the kitchen and came back with 2 bowls of stew and rice. She put one in front of him and started eating hers without waiting. They ate in silence for a few minutes. But Dae-hyun had not realized how hungry he was until the food was in front of him. He finished the bowl faster than he meant to. Mi-sun got up, refilled it without asking, and sat back down. So, she said, when are you going to talk about it? About what? Dae-hyun. He looked at his sister. She had their mother's eyes, sharp and unimpressed. You could not lie to those eyes. She left. There is nothing to talk about. She left because you are an idiot. Thank you for the input. I'm serious. Mi-sun put her bowl down and leaned forward. I liked Simone. She was good to you, good to me. She remembered my birthday, sent me books she thought I would like, and asked about my work. And you treated her like furniture. I gave her everything. You gave her money and space. Well, and that is not everything. Dae-hyun set his bowl down harder than he meant to. What do you want me to say? That I failed? That I was not enough? Fine, I know. Do you, though? She left a note. It was very clear. Mi-sun stood up and walked to her bookshelf. She pulled out a book, something with a bright cover, and held it up. Simone sent me this 2 months ago. It is about traditional Korean architecture and how it influenced modern design. She told me she thought I would find the intersection interesting because of my work in urban planning. She tossed the book onto the coffee table. When is the last time you asked Simone about her work? Her real work? Not just a polite question over dinner? Dae-hyun opened his mouth and then closed it. Right, Mi-sun said. You want to know what I think? I think you married a ghost and expected Simone to haunt your house quietly. And she did, for 3 years, until she remembered she was alive. The words hit harder than Dae-hyun expected. He stood up. I should go. Running away. That is new for you. He stopped at the door and turned around. What do you want from me, Mi-sun? I want you to figure out what you want. Because if it is Simone, and I mean the real Simone, not whoever you thought she was, Then you need to do the work. And I don't mean flowers and apologies. I mean actual work. Dae-hyun left without answering. But on the drive home, her words kept circling. When was the last time he asked Simone about her work? He knew she was an architect, knew she had projects. But the details, he could not remember a single building she designed. He pulled over and did something he had not done in years. He searched for her. Simone Clark, Architect Seoul, brought up pages of results, articles, interviews, and award nominations. There was a whole professional life documented online, and he had no idea any of it existed. One article from 8 months ago caught his eye. American architect brings fresh vision to Seoul's urban development. The photo showed Simone at a construction site, wearing a hard hat and holding blueprints, smiling at something off camera. She looked happy, more alive than he had seen her in their apartment in months. He read the interview. She talked about blending modern sustainability with traditional Korean design principles, about creating spaces that honored history while pushing forward. So the interviewer asked how she learned so much about Korean architecture. I believe if you are going to live somewhere, work somewhere, love somewhere, you should understand it. So I studied. I wanted to know the bones of this city. Love somewhere. She said, love. Dae-hyun sat in his car on the side of the road and read every article. There were 12. In one, from a year ago, the interviewer asked if her family supported her move to Seoul. My family was nervous at first, but my husband helped me see that home is not just where you are from. It is where you are building something meaningful. She called him her husband, said he helped her. He did not remember helping her with anything except signing paperwork for her visa. His phone rang. Jun Seo. Boss, we have a situation with the West Side contract. Handle it. It needs your... Handle it, Jun Seo. I trust you. He hung up before his second could respond. Then he opened his contacts and scrolled to Simone's name again. This time, he pressed call. It rang 4 times. He was ready for voicemail, already planning what to say, when she answered. What do you need, Dae-hyun? Her voice was calm, professional, like he was a client, not her husband. We need to talk about the papers. Talk to my lawyer. I sent the contact information. Simone, is there anything else? He scrambled for words, for anything that might keep her on the line. There are things at the apartment. Your things. You left. I took what mattered. You can donate the rest. That seems impulsive. The silence on her end was sharp. You're impulsive, she repeated. I planned this for 2 weeks, Dae-hyun. I set up a new bank account, found an apartment, arranged international shipping for my equipment, and consulted with 3 lawyers. The only impulsive thing I did in this marriage was say yes. You do not mean that. Do not tell me what I mean. That is the whole problem. His grip on the phone tightened. This is irrational. We can renegotiate terms, figure out what you need. I was not a business deal. Her voice rose for the first time. That is what you don't understand. You are trying to negotiate with me like I am some contract you can restructure. I do not need better terms, Dae-hyun. I needed a husband who saw me. I saw you. You saw her. The line went dead. Dae-hyun called back. It went straight to voicemail. He called again. Same thing. On the 3rd try, he got a text. Do not call this number again. All communication goes through my lawyer. He sat in his car, phone in his hand, and tried to figure out when everything fell apart. But the truth was creeping in, cold and unavoidable. It was always apart. He just never noticed because Simone held it together for both of them. When Dae-hyun finally went home, he did something he had not done in the 7 days since Simone left. He went into her office. She had converted the spare room shortly after moving in. He gave her permission easily because he never went in there anyway. Now he stood in the doorway and looked at the space like it was a museum exhibit. Her desk was gone, her computer, her drafting tools. But she left things behind. Sketches pinned to a corkboard on the wall, on designs for buildings he did not recognize. Notes in the margins in her handwriting, ideas, measurements, and little observations. One sketch caught his eye. It was their apartment building, but different. She had redesigned it, added green space on the roof, and changed the entrance to be more welcoming. In the corner, she wrote a note. Dae-hyun hates plants, but maybe a compromise, drought-resistant, low maintenance. Green without the fuss. She was trying to make his space better while respecting his preferences, and he never even knew she thought about it. He moved to the corkboard and found more. A floor plan for what looked like a home, not an apartment. Spaces labeled in English and Korean. Kitchen, open concept for entertaining. Library with natural light. Studio space, separate entrance. Was this what she wanted? A home they could have built together? At the bottom of the corkboard was a photo he had never seen before. Simone with an older couple, probably her parents, all of them laughing at something off camera. Her father had his arm around her, and her mother was mid-sentence. They looked like they were in the middle of a happy moment, the kind families have at dinners or holidays. Dae-hyun tried to remember if he had ever asked about her family beyond basic questions. He knew they existed, knew she called them sometimes. But details? Nothing. He pulled out his phone and went back to searching. This time, he looked for her on social media. She kept it private, but her professional page was public. Photos of her work, her team, and events she attended. One photo stopped him cold. It was from 6 months ago, and tagged at some architecture gala. Simone in a dress that had African print fabric, bright and bold. She was standing with a group of other architects, all smiling. The caption read, "Proud to represent at the Seoul Design Awards." He remembered that night. She asked if he wanted to come with her, said it was important. He told her he had a meeting. She said okay and went alone. What he didn't remember was her coming home. Did she tell him about the event? Did she try to share it with him? Or did she learn by then that he would not really listen? Dae-hyun backed out of the room and closed the door. The apartment felt like it was shrinking, every corner holding evidence of his failure. His phone buzzed. A text from Mi-sun. Did you call her? Yes. And? She hung up on me. Good for her. Dae-hyun stared at his sister's message. You are supposed to be on my side. I am on the side of people not being idiots. Right now, that is not you. He called her. She answered on the first ring. What did you say to her? Mi-sun asked. I tried to talk about the divorce papers. Oh my God, you really are stupid. Thank you. This is very helpful. Dae-hyun, listen to me. You cannot logic your way out of this. You cannot negotiate. She does not want your solutions. She wanted you to care, and you did not. And now she is done. So what am I supposed to do? Honestly, I do not know if there is anything you can do. You spent 3 years treating her like a placeholder. Why would she believe you changed in 1 week? The question sat heavily between them. But, Mi-sun continued, if you actually want to try, and I mean really try, not just because you are lonely or your apartment feels empty, then you need to start with yourself. Meaning? Meaning figure out why you married a ghost instead of a person. And do not tell me you do not know what I am talking about. She hung up. Dae-hyun walked to his bedroom and opened the closet. In the back, behind his clothes, was a box. He had not opened it in 5 years, but he knew exactly what was inside. He pulled it out and sat on the bed. Inside were letters, photos, and small trinkets. Memories of his first love, the woman who died a week before their wedding. Everyone told him it was tragic and said he needed time to heal. He thought he had healed. He thought marrying Simone meant he had moved on. But now, looking at these old photos, he realized something. He could not remember her voice, could not remember the last conversation they had. The memories were fading, blurry around the edges. What he remembered clearly, painfully, was Simone's laugh, the way she hummed while cooking, how she always touched his shoulder when she walked past him, a small gesture he never acknowledged. He remembered the morning she tried to cook Korean food for him, some recipe she learned from a coworker. It was terrible, too salty and overcooked, but she was so proud. He told her it was fine and did not finish his plate. She never tried to cook Korean food again. He remembered her asking if he wanted to meet her friends, Americans and Koreans she knew from work. He said he was busy, so after a few times, she stopped asking. He remembered so many small moments where she reached out, and he was not there. And she kept reaching until one day, she didn't anymore. Dae-hyun closed the box and shoved it back in the closet. Then he did something he swore he would never do. He searched for therapists in Seoul. Want to see if he actually follows through, or if this is just another empty promise? Stay tuned for the next part, and if you are invested in this story, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss what happens when Dae-hyun realizes changing is harder than he thought. Dae-hyun sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his phone for 43 minutes straight. He had solved every single problem in his life with money, power, or a cold stare that made grown men nervous. For the first time in his entire adult life, and he had absolutely nothing. No leverage, no plan, no move to make. The search results on his phone screen said, "Therapists near me, Seoul," and every single name looked like a scam. People like him did not go to therapy. People like him fixed things themselves. But this was not something he could fix. He called the first number. A pleasant voice told him the earliest appointment was 6 weeks out. "I will pay double," Dae-hyun said. "We do not do that here, sir. 6 weeks." He hung up, called the next one. Same answer. Third, fourth, fifth, all the same. On the 8th call, the receptionist sighed like she had heard everything before. "Are you a danger to yourself or others, sir?" Dae-hyun thought about it, really thought about it. "No, ma'am, I am just the stupidest man alive." She was quiet for 5 seconds. Someone canceled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. Be on time. Do not be late. And do not offer me extra money. It is insulting." He showed up 15 minutes early, wearing a full suit like he was going to negotiate a merger. Dr. Yoon opened the door to her office, looked him up and down, and raised one eyebrow. "You can take the tie off. No one here is trying to impress anyone. And even if they were, that tie would not help." The office was smaller than he expected. 1 couch, 2 chairs, a desk, and some plants that were definitely alive. He sat on the very edge of the couch like someone might yell at him for getting comfortable. 22 minutes passed. Complete silence. Dr. Yoon did paperwork at her desk. She did not ask him questions. She did not tell him to start talking. She just worked. Finally, he said, "Are you not going to ask me anything?" She did not look up. "You paid $300 to sit in my office and breathe. Talk when you are ready. I have plenty of paperwork." Slowly, like pulling teeth, he started talking. Not about Simone at first. About the girl who died. About how the whole world turned gray after her funeral. About how nothing tasted right. Nothing felt real. Everything was just flat. Then one night, almost 6 years later, he saw Simone walking across a bridge in the rain. The streetlights hit her face a certain way. And for one single second, she looked exactly like her. "I thought it was a sign," he said quietly. Dr. Yoon put her pen down. "It was not a sign, Mr. Kang. It was a shadow. And you spent 3 years trying to fold a whole living, breathing woman into the shape of that shadow. So then you are surprised when she could not take it anymore." The words hit him like a slap. Halfway across the world, Simone was doing much worse than anyone knew. She got the promotion at work. Her boss loved her. Her new team thought she was incredible. She went out for drinks on Fridays, laughed at the right moments, said all the right things. But every single night, she woke up at 3:17 in the morning, the exact time Dae-hyun used to come to bed. She would reach across the sheets. Then she would remember. She burned toast 5 days in a row. On the 6th day, she just stopped making breakfast. She walked past a small bakery near her apartment that smelled like cinnamon and had to sit down on a bench outside for 15 minutes because she could not breathe right. No one at work noticed. No one asked if she was okay, and she was very good at pretending. Keisha showed up at her door unannounced on a Thursday night. No warning, no text, just knocked on the door holding 2 pints of ice cream and a bottle of wine. "I brought supplies," Keisha said. "Enough for 3 days of crying, and 1 full day of yelling at the universe if you need it." Simone let her in. They ate ice cream on the floor and watched terrible reality television for 2 hours before either of them said anything real. Then Keisha said, "He called me." Simone put her spoon down very slowly. "He did what?" 3 times. The first time I told him exactly where he could go. Second time I hung up, the second I heard his voice. Third time, he did not even say hello. He just said, "Please, please tell me her favorite color. Mom, please tell me what she hated most about being married to me." Keisha looked at her best friend. "I told him to go to hell. Then I told him burnt orange, and that the thing you hated most was being the only one who tried." Simone said nothing. But that night, she laid in bed, staring at the ceiling until the sun came up. 2 weeks and 4 days later, Dae-hyun showed up at her office in London. No warning, no phone call, no text message, just standing in the lobby wearing jeans and a plain black shirt, no tie, no suit, looking completely out of place. Simone came down from a meeting on the 7th floor. She saw him standing there. She did not run. She did not cry. She did not yell. She just walked over very slowly, very calmly, and stopped 3 feet away from him. "What are you doing here?" It was not a question. It was a statement. "I needed to see you," he said. "No, you wanted to see me. Those are 2 completely different things." Dae-hyun opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. "I have been going to therapy every single week for 11 weeks. I have not missed once." "Good for you." "I burned all the letters. I threw away all the pictures. I threw every single bottle of that perfume in the Han River." "That is wonderful, Dae-hyun. I am very proud of you." Her voice was so flat it could have been used to level concrete. He tried again. "I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you. I know I did not see you. But I see you now. I see you so clearly now, and I just need you to stop." He stopped. Simone stepped closer, looked him right in the eye. "You did all of those things. Therapy, burning letters, throwing away perfume. That is good. That is the best thing you have ever done for anyone. But that is work you should have done before you married me, not after I left. Do you understand that?" "Yes." "Then why are you here?" "Because I don't want to waste it. I don't want to get better and have it mean nothing." She stared at him for a very long time. People walked past them in the lobby. Someone laughed at the coffee stand. The world kept moving. Finally, she said, "I am not a reward, Dae-hyun. I am not a certificate you get at the end of your therapy homework. You do not get to fix yourself and then collect me like a prize. If you are getting better, get better for yourself, not for me." She turned around, walked to the elevator, pressed the button. The doors opened. She stepped inside. She did not look back once. The doors closed. Do-hyun stood in that lobby for 20 minutes before he could make his legs move. He flew back to Seoul that night, went straight home, did not sleep, just sat on the couch in the dark until the sun came up. But he did not cancel his therapy appointment. Dr. Yoon looked at him when he walked in. "You look terrible." "I went to see her." "How did that go?" "She told me I was treating her like a prize. She told me to get better for myself." Dr. Yoon nodded slowly. "She is absolutely right. So what are you going to do?" "Keep coming here, I guess." "Good. That is the first smart thing you have said in 3 months." 4 days later, everything got worse. Junseo called him at 11:30 at night. Dae-hyun was eating cold noodles straight from the pot, standing in his kitchen in the dark. "Boss, we have a problem. They hit the docks tonight. Took 3 of the warehouses on the east side. Everyone knows you are distracted. They think you are weak. They think now is the time to move." Dae-hyun put the pot down, stared at the wall. 5 years ago, he would have burned their entire operation to the ground for even thinking about it. 3 years ago, he would have made a phone call, and the problem would have disappeared. 1 year ago, he would have strategized for 6 hours and come up with a plan. Now he just felt tired. "Let them have it," he said. Silence on the other end of the line. Then, "What?" "Let them have the docks. Let them have the east side. Let them have all of it. I do not care anymore. Boss, we fought for 4 years to get that territory. 3 good men died securing those routes." "I know," Dae-hyun said quietly. "And none of them ever made me coffee in the morning. None of them ever left sticky notes on my computer. None of them ever cared if I came home safe. Let them have it, Junseo. I am done." He hung up. The entire underworld lost their collective mind over the next week. The most feared man in Seoul just gave up half his empire without a single meeting, without a single threat, without even a phone call. Everyone said he had completely lost it. Everyone said a woman had destroyed him. They were right. Misun showed up at his apartment 3 days later. Did not knock, just used the spare key he gave her years ago. Found him sitting on the kitchen floor, eating instant ramyeon at 2 in the afternoon, still wearing the same clothes from yesterday. She sat down next to him, put a 6-pack of beer on the floor between them. "Everyone thinks you have lost your mind." "Probably. Have you?" Dae-hyun put the ramyeon down, looked at his little sister. "I spent 10 years building an empire. I slept 4 hours a night. I fought every single day. I made more money than I could ever spend. I had power, respect, and fear. And none of it, not a single second of it, ever made me happy. The only time I ever felt anything real was when she sang while doing the dishes. And I threw her away like she meant nothing. So, yeah, maybe I am crazy, but I was way more crazy before." Misun opened a beer and handed it to him. "So what now?" "Now, I try to be less terrible." He did not contact Simone. Not for 3 entire months. No phone calls, no text messages, no emails, no flowers delivered to her office. Nothing. He just disappeared. But he kept going to therapy. On every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. Never missed once. He learned how to cook actual food. He burned rice 9 times before he got it right. He bought plants for his apartment. Killed 6 of them. The 7th one somehow survived. He read every single book Simone had left behind on the shelf. He took an online course about West African architecture and design. Nobody told him to do it. He just wanted to know. One Tuesday, 3 months and 2 weeks after Simone left, Dr. Yoon asked him a question. "Tell me one thing you love about Simone. Just one thing. And it has to be something that has absolutely nothing to do with the woman who died." Dae-hyun did not even pause. The words came out like he had been holding them in forever. "She argues with taxi drivers every single time, even when she knows they are right. Even when it is only 201. She will stand there and argue for 15 minutes just on principle. She hums terribly off-key when she is concentrating on her work. She hates sleeping with the closet door open even a tiny crack. She remembers the names of every single barista she has ever met. She once screamed at a man twice her size on the subway for being rude to an old woman. She leaves her socks on the couch. She burns toast. She laughs so hard she snorts. She is the bravest person I have ever known in my entire life. He stopped talking, realized he had just listed about 15 things without even trying. Dr. Yoon smiled, a real smile. There, now you are finally seeing her. 2 weeks later, Mi-sun called Simone, not as a messenger, not with news about Dahyun, just as a friend. I am coming to London next week for a work conference. Can we get dinner? No agenda. No updates about anyone. Just two people eating food. I miss you. Simone hesitated for 2 full days before she responded. Then she said yes. They met at a small restaurant near Simone's apartment. It was awkward for about 20 minutes. They talked about work, about the weather, about nothing important. Then Mi-sun said something that changed everything. He gave up half the business. Simone looked up from her pasta. What? Rivals moved in on his territory. Everyone expected him to fight. He just let them have it. Walked away from 10 years of work like it meant nothing. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know. He's different now. Quiet. But not the scary quiet. Just calm. He goes to therapy every week. He killed 7 plants trying to keep them alive. He took a course on African architecture. He asks me about my life now. Actually asks. Actually listens. I have known him for 34 years. I have never seen him like this. Simone put her fork down. Mi-sun, if you are here to tell me he has changed, I am not here to tell you anything. I am here because I miss my friend. But yeah, he has changed, and I thought you should know. At the end of dinner, Mi-sun pulled something out of her purse, a small business card. She slid it across the table. This is his therapist, Dr. Yoon. Call her if you want. She will not tell you anything private, but she will confirm he still goes. She will confirm he is doing the work. You do not owe him anything, but you deserve the truth. Simone picked up the card. She did not throw it away. 2 weeks and 3 days later, Simone called the number on the card. Her hands shook while she dialed. The phone rang 4 times. She almost hung up. Then someone answered. Dr. Yoon's office. Hi, this is Simone Clark. I was told I could speak with Dr. Yoon about a patient? Hold, please. Terrible hold music played for 90 seconds. Then a woman's voice came on. Older, calm, no nonsense. Ms. Clark, I was wondering when you would call. They talked for 27 minutes. Dr. Yoon did not tell her anything private. Did not share what Dae-hyun said in sessions. Did not try to convince her of anything. She just confirmed facts. He has attended 17 sessions, has not missed a single one, does his homework, asks hard questions, cries sometimes. He cries, Simone said. She had never seen him cry, not once in 3 years. Most weeks, yes, usually when he talks about the things he missed, the moments he did not show up for. Simone was quiet for a long time. Finally, she asked, Is he doing this to get me back? Dr. Yoon was quiet too. Then she said, I cannot tell you what is in his heart. But I can tell you this. Most people come to therapy because they want to stop feeling bad. He came because he wants to stop being bad. That is the rarest thing in the world. That night, Simone sat at her desk for 2 hours, staring at a blank email. She wrote 17 different versions, deleted all of them. Finally, she wrote one sentence. 3 conditions. If you agree, we can meet. She stared at it for 10 more minutes, then hit send before she could change her mind. The reply came 14 seconds later. So on anything. Her heart did something complicated in her chest. She wrote back, hands shaking now. 1. We meet in Reykjavik, Not Seoul, not London. Neutral ground. No bodyguards. No assistants. Just us. 2. You bring a written list of every single thing you did wrong. Not vague apologies. Specific moments. Exact dates, if you remember them. 3. I can ask you anything, any question in the world, and you answer with complete honesty, even if it hurts me, even if it makes you look terrible, even if it means I never speak to you again. She hit send, watched the screen. 3 minutes passed. It felt like 3 hours. Then the reply came. I will book the flights today. I will bring the list. Thank you for this chance. This is the moment everything changes. You think you know how this goes, but I promise you do not. Keep watching. Dae-hyun got on a plane to Iceland 6 days later. Did not sleep the entire flight. Just sat in his seat, holding a notebook, reading the same pages over and over. He had written 51 pages. Single-spaced. Every mistake he could remember. He rewrote most of it 4 times to make sure he got it exactly right. They met at a cafe right by the harbor. It was raining, that cold gray rain that feels like the sky is sad. Simone was already sitting at a table by the window when he walked in. She was wearing jeans and a dark green hoodie. Her hair was natural, big and beautiful. He had never seen her wear her hair naturally during their entire marriage. Not once. For half a second, he forgot how to breathe. He sat down across from her. They did not hug. They did not say, "It is good to see you." They did not make small talk. Simone folded her hands on the table and looked right at him. First question. I need you to be completely honest. When you married me, did you ever, even once, even for 1 single second, see me? Just me? Not her. Dae-hyun looked right back, did not look away, did not soften it. No. Her jaw tightened. She blinked twice, nodded once, like she knew the answer but needed to hear him say it out loud. Second question. When did that change? When did you start seeing me instead of her? The day you left, he said. I hate that it took that. I hate that I am every single cliché you have ever heard. But it is the truth. I woke up the next morning and she was just gone. The ghost was gone. And all I could see was you, everywhere, in every corner of that apartment, in every memory, just you. Simone took a slow breath. Third question. Or if I tell you right now that this is it, that we have this one conversation and then I never see you again. Never call, never email. You are completely out of my life forever. What will you do? Dae-hyun reached into his bag, pulled out the notebook, slid it across the table. I will keep going to therapy every week. I will keep learning how to be better. Not for you. For me. Because I never want to hurt another person the way I hurt you. And I will hope, every single day, that you find someone who sees you from day one. Even if that person is not me. Simone picked up the notebook, opened it, started reading. Her face did not change. She did not react. Just read page after page after page. It took her 32 minutes to read the whole thing. Dae-hyun sat there the entire time, did not check his phone, did not look away, did not fidget, just waited. When she closed the notebook, she looked up at him. Her eyes were wet, but she was not crying. You remembered all of this. Yes. The night my dad was in the hospital. You wrote that you knew. Yes. You never said anything. I did not know what to say. I thought if I ignored it, it would be easier for you. But that was the worst thing I could have done. You needed me to show up, and I did not. I'm sorry. Simone put the notebook down, looked out the window at the rain. They sat in silence for a long time. People came and went from the cafe. Someone ordered a cappuccino. A child laughed somewhere in the back. The world kept turning. Finally, she said, I'm never moving back to Seoul. Okay. I'm keeping my job in London. I will never turn down a project for anyone, and I will never make myself smaller for a relationship ever again. Okay. I will never wear white. I will never straighten my hair for you. I will never be quiet when I want to speak. I will argue with taxi drivers. I will burn toast 4 times a week. I will leave my shoes right in the middle of the floor. I will be exactly who I am. And if you ever, even for one tiny second, look at me and see her instead of me, I will leave, and you will never find me again. I understand. And we go slow, extremely slow. No moving in together, no promises about the future, no talking about forever. We just talk sometimes, see each other sometimes, when and if we feel like it. Okay. Simone looked at him for a very long time. Then, for the first time in almost a year, she smiled. Just a tiny one. Meeson told me you killed 7 plants. Dae-hyun laughed. A real laugh. 9 now. 2 more died last week. I do not understand what I'm doing wrong. You are probably overwatering them. Probably. She shook her head, still smiling just a little bit. You are really terrible at this. I know, he said quietly. But I am trying. They walked along the harbor in the rain for an hour after that. Did not hold hands, did not kiss. Just walked and talked. About small things. About nothing important. It was not romantic. It was just quiet. And for the first time in their entire relationship, the quiet felt okay. The next 8 months were harder than anything either of them had ever done in their entire lives. They talked on the phone twice a week, sometimes 3 times if they felt like it. No good morning texts, so no constant updates, no checking in every hour. Sometimes they talked for 4 hours about everything and nothing. Sometimes they talked for 6 minutes and said, "We are tired. Let's talk later." Sometimes they fought, real fights with raised voices and hurt feelings. Once, 3 months in, Dae-hyun had to cancel a visit because something came up with the business. Simone did not argue, did not guilt trip, just said, "Okay, let me know when you are free," and hung up. He stared at his phone for 10 minutes. Then he told Junseo to handle it, got on a plane, and showed up at her apartment at 1 in the morning. She opened the door in her pajamas, confused. "What are you doing here?" "I was wrong. Nothing that happened today was more important than being here." She let him in. He did not move to London. She did not move back to Seoul. They took turns, 1 week a month, sometimes 2 if their schedules worked. No big plans, no rules, just showing up. Everyone told them they were doing it wrong. Keisha said Simone was setting herself up to get hurt again. Junseo told Dae-hyun he was throwing away everything he built for a woman who might never forgive him. Mi-sun just showed up with beer every few weeks and said, "You are both complete idiots. But at least now, you are trying." 4 months in, Simone called Keisha at 2 in the morning, crying. "I keep waiting for it," she said. "I keep watching his face, watching his eyes, waiting for that 1 second where I will see it, where I will know he just saw her instead of me. And I do not know if I can live like this." Keisha did not tell her to leave, did not tell her to stay. Just said, "That is not about trust, Simone. That is trauma. And you are allowed to take all the time you need to heal from it. You are allowed to leave tomorrow. You are allowed to stay for 10 more years. Nobody gets to make that choice except you." Dae-hyun messed up constantly. He forgot her mother's birthday. He canceled dinner one night because an old business associate called. He still went completely silent for days when he was stressed instead of talking about it. But every single time, he came back. Never made excuses. Never said, "You are overreacting," or "You are too sensitive." Just said, "I messed up. I will do better." And then actually tried to do better. If you have ever tried to rebuild trust with someone after you broke it, you know exactly how hard this is. Comment below if you have been here. 7 months after Iceland, it happened. The thing everyone warned them about. It was Christmas week. Dae-hyun flew to London with a present. He wrapped it himself, you could tell, because the paper was crooked, and there was way too much tape. Simone opened it at her kitchen table. A white silk scarf. Everything stopped. The room went completely silent. Simone felt like someone poured ice water down her spine. 3 years of being invisible, 3 years of being a ghost, all of it came rushing back in one horrible second. She did not yell, did not throw it, did not cry. Just put it down very gently on the table and said, "Why did you buy this?" All the color drained from Dae-hyun's face, every single drop. "Oh my God, Simone, I did not even think, it was soft and I thought you would like the texture. I did not even look at the color. I am so sorry." I am so incredibly stupid. He picked up the scarf, walked straight to the door, put his coat on, went out into the freezing rain, walked 30 minutes to the store, returned it, walked another 20 minutes to a different store, came back soaking wet an hour and 15 minutes later. He handed her a different package. She opened it. A head wrap. Burnt orange with gold threading. Her favorite color in the whole world. He stood there dripping water all over her floor. Did not ask for forgiveness. Did not make a speech. Just said, "I will pay more attention. I promise I will do better." That moment. Not the apology in Iceland. Not the notebook full of mistakes. That moment. When he messed up and did not make excuses, did not ask her to understand, just fixed it. That was when something shifted. 2 months after that, they went to Seoul together. Dae-hyun did not ask her to go to the cemetery with him. She said she wanted to. They stood in front of the grave for 7 minutes. Nobody said anything at first. Then Simone said, very quietly, "I'm sorry you died. I'm sorry he hurt both of us, because he did not know how to grieve properly." Dae-hyun cried. Right there. Did not try to hide it. Did not turn away. Just cried. Simone did not hug him. Just stood next to him until he was done. 3 days later, they flew to Atlanta. Simone's dad opened the door, looked at Dae-hyun for a solid 15 seconds without saying a word. Then he said, "I looked you up. I know exactly who you were, what you did. I do not care about any of that. But if you ever make my daughter feel like she does not matter again, you will never see her again. And I do not care how much money you have or how many people work for you." Dae-hyun nodded. "Yes, sir. That is completely fair." Her dad made him help rebuild the back deck that entire weekend. Barely said 10 words to him the whole time. On Sunday night, when Dae-hyun was leaving, her dad shook his hand and said, "You are learning. Keep learning." 1 year and 9 months after Simone left. They live in London now. Dae-hyun goes back to Seoul 1 week every month, sometimes 2. He sold almost everything. The territory, the bars, the warehouses. Kept one legitimate construction company. Now he builds buildings that Simone designs. Actually builds things instead of tearing them down. They never officially called off the divorce. The papers are still in a box under their bed. Neither of them has mentioned it in 11 months. Ooh, it is a random Tuesday night in October. Dae-hyun is on the living room floor trying to build a bookshelf from IKEA. He has been working on it for 3 hours. There are screws everywhere. He already broke 2 pieces and had to order replacements. Simone is at the kitchen table working on blueprints for a new project. Her hair is in braids. She is humming, completely off-key. Some song from the 90s. There is chocolate on her chin. She has not noticed. Dae-hyun puts down the instructions, looks up at her, and he thinks about it. About the woman who died. About the ghost he carried for 6 years. And he realizes something. He cannot remember her face anymore. Cannot remember her voice. cannot remember a single specific thing she ever said to him. It is all just blurry now, like a dream you can barely remember when you wake up. But he remembers everything about Simone, every single thing. The way she hums when she works, the way she leaves her socks on the couch, the way she argues with delivery drivers about nothing, the way she laughs so hard she snorts and then gets embarrassed, the way she looks at him sometimes, like she is still deciding if she trusts him, and that is okay, because he is still earning it. This is not perfect. They still fight at least once a month. Big fights where someone sleeps on the couch and they do not talk for a day. They still go to therapy, separately and together, every other week. Dae-hyun has now killed 14 plants. Simone still burns toast almost every morning. But it is real. No ghosts, no pretending. Just two people who broke everything and decided to build something new from the pieces. Simone asked him once, like about 6 months ago, if you could go back and do it all again, what would you change? He thought about it for a long time, then said, everything. I would walk up to you that first night, and I would see you. Just you. I would ask what your favorite color was. I would ask about your family. I would ask what you were afraid of. I would actually see you before I asked you to marry me. She was quiet for a minute. Then she said, we cannot go back. I know, he said, so I will just see you now. Every single day. For as long as you let me. If this story made you feel something, if you have ever been the invisible person, if you have ever been the person who failed to see someone, if you have ever had to decide whether to give someone a second chance, hit that subscribe button.